Good evening. This is Jack Hammer bringing to you this week's 49ers update. As of the first weekend of November, as that ended, the consensus about the San Francisco 49ers was that their 2021 season was going to be yet another failure. They'd just been blown out at home by a Cardinals team missing several starters, and there seemed to be little reason to believe they'd find a way to turn it around. Fast forward 3 weeks, though, and now the 49ers have won 3 in a row. They're in a playoff position, and they're the hottest team in the NFC. So let's take a look at a little bit of what's been going on around the 49ers in the last week. Starting off with the injury bug biting them once again. The 49ers had that big win yesterday against Minnesota. Unfortunately, they're going to be without 2 of their top players for the next 1 to 2 weeks, as Fred Warner and Deebo Samuel are both going to be out. Warner suffered a strained hamstring yesterday in the win over Minnesota, and Deebo Samuel strained his groin there late in the third quarter. Losing these 2 is going to be a blow on both sides of the ball. Warner's an all-pro level linebacker, and the 49ers are already a bit thin at the position. Dre Greenlaw has missed most of the season with a core injury and re-aggravated that injury early in the game against Minnesota. He is currently listed as day-to-day. Meanwhile, Marcel Harris is also currently in the NFL concussion protocol because of an injury that he suffered on Sunday. That leaves the 49ers with only Azeez Al-Shaair, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, and Tyrell Adams as their healthy linebackers. The 49ers offense over the last couple of weeks has really been helped out by the explosiveness of Deebo Samuel, especially in the run game. It could be easy to point to his use as a running back, resulting in as part of the result of him getting injured or why he was injured. However, his workload has been around the same as the rest of the season. I think it's important to note that Samuel has a history of injuries related to muscle strains. This is important when you look at how he's been utilized within the 49ers offense currently. Samuel has the physical makeup to withstand hits. He's built like a running back, and all the issues seem to suggest that his body is just wound a little too tight. These types of injuries can occur at any point, whether Samuel's getting the ball as a runner, or catching a deep crosser and running after the catch. We've heard that a lot, and quite frankly, it's just the makeup of his body, and unfortunately, it's a situation where it's almost like he's a little bit of a ticking time bomb. He's either going to be able to be a guy that's going to blow you away with a fantastic run down the sideline, or he's going to end up hurt with a muscle strain, and we're seeing that again now with his most recent injury. As far as the game on Sunday, let's start off with the 49ers playing to keep away. The 49ers offense may have been their best defense over these last 3 weeks. Starting with their victory over the Rams, San Francisco offense has held the ball for more than 37 minutes in each game. The last time a team was able to manage holding on the ball that long, 3 straight weeks in a row, was in 2019, and it was done by the Baltimore Ravens. Thunder and Lightning. San Francisco rushed for 208 yards on Sunday against the Vikings. That's the second most that Minnesota has allowed this season, and the 5th most in the regular season by the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. Rookie Elijah Mitchell is the thunder of the rushing attack, pounding his way to 133 yards on 27 carries. The Lightning, that comes from Deebo Samuel, who added 66 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 6 carries on Sunday. What's even more impressive about Samuel's numbers is that his first carry was, I think it was a -3, and then his last carry was a 6-yard loss when he injured his groin. That means he actually was right around 75 yards on his other 4 carries. During the 49ers' current 3-game win streak, Samuel has run the ball for 178 yards and 4 touchdowns on only 19 carries. Azeez Al-Shaair, have yourself a game. The 49ers linebacker led the 49ers in tackles against Minnesota with 8. The third-year player also hauled in an interception and recovered a fumble, becoming the first 49er to accomplish this feat since Parrish Cox did it against Philadelphia in 2014, way back when Jim Harbaugh was the 49ers coach. Y'all remember the old game Punch-Out with Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I believe it was called, on the old Nintendo system? Long time ago, especially for you older folks. Well, that's really brings us to Josh Norman. Well, Norman struggled in pass coverage, allowing a passer rating of 98.0 when targeted and getting called for a 22-yard pass interference penalty against Minnesota. The veteran quarterback has excelled this season at forcing fumbles. Using a technique called the peanut punch, named after former Bears cornerback Charles Peanut Tillman, Norman has been able to force his seven fumbles this season, including another one on Sunday. The 7 forced fumbles are second most by 49ers player since 1994 and trail only Ray Barker, who recorded 8 forced fumbles in 1996. That brings us to the 49ers defensive end and little Nicky doing it again. Nick Bosa finished with 2 tackles and a sack. He now leads the team with a career-high 11 sacks on the season, second most for the 49ers since DeForest Buckner finished with 12 back in 2018. That brings us to the Jimmy Garoppolo news that everybody's been talking about for the last couple of days. The future of Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco has been up in the air since the organization used 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to draft Trey Lance in this year's draft. Prior to yesterday's slate of games, NFL insider Ian Rappaport appeared on NFL Network and reported the following. 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan opened the door this week for Jimmy Garoppolo potentially coming back in 2022. Allow me to shut that door. Absent a Super Bowl run, which at this point is still theoretically possible, this is the 49ers' plan next season. Start Trey Lance, trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Not a surprise there. They've been pretty upfront about all that. What Garoppolo is doing now is increasing the value of picks the 49ers are going to get in a trade involving him and making it more likely that a place he wants to go would want to take him. Did Rappaport get this information from someone inside the 49ers organization? I don't know. He maybe did. He didn't. But either way, what I do know is that what he said is very similar to what Jed York told Matt Maiocco of NBC Sports Bay Area in early May following the draft. York said, "If we're in a situation where Jimmy goes out and takes us to a Super Bowl again and has an MVP caliber season and does it again, there are worse dilemmas to be in, and Jimmy certainly has the ability to do that." Sounds pretty similar. As Rappaport pointed out, the 49ers have been upfront about their plan at quarterback throughout this offseason, really. Trey Lance became the future in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan even said as much last week. Moving on from Garoppolo this offseason makes the most sense. San Francisco will find itself looking to fill nearly 20 spots on its roster and currently has only $12.8 million in cap space to work with. While there may be some issues with Garoppolo's play, there's no denying the 49ers have been a much better team with him at quarterback since Shanahan became the head coach than they have been with anybody else under center. Everybody's looking forward to the transition to Trey Lance. And you got to admit, Trey Lance is full of potential. And here's the thing for me. Potential is great, but that only goes so far until you actually need to fulfill it. And in the NFL, it's a bottom line business. And if he doesn't get it done, somebody's going to lose their job. And it's probably going to start off with Kyle Shanahan or John York. So that's my take for today. Just wanted to come on real quick. I wanted to drop some information on you from the game on Sunday, let you know where things stand with regards to Deebo Samuel injury, the Fred Warner injury, Marcel Harris being out as well. The 49ers are really going to need to make some adjustments there at linebacker. I didn't have this one lined up to talk about, but I will say this. One of the things the 49ers might want to think about doing, if they are this thin at linebacker, they may be willing to bring back Michael Kendricks. They've brought him in a number of times already this season. Right now, they only have, like I said, they're already really thin at the linebacker position, especially if Greenlaw is not able to go. He's day-to-day currently. Marcel Harris in the concussion protocol. Maybe the move is to slide Talanoa Hufanga down inside and have him play more in the box, or maybe in a big nickel type of scenario. That way, if you want to bring one of the other guys down in pass heavy sets, you can easily rotate those guys around. But Talanoa Hufanga is the guy who plays best when he's in the box, and this situation seems to kind of set up where you might want to go ahead and make that move for him. So, Luke, how you doing? Says, hello, Mr. Jack of the Press Democrat 49ers blog. Yes, that's right. The 49ers.pressdemocrat.com, inside the 49ers blog over there. Check out all of my work. Try to have an article a day, as well as a live blog during the games and different film reviews and things like that that'll come up. So that's where the 49ers stand today. Definitely will be back with you with more information as the week unfolds, it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to go about filling these positions in. Real quick, I do have to bring this up because East Bay Chris says, "Hi Jack, hey East Bay, I do owe you a dance because if you remember, there was a couple weeks back when the 49ers were at 3-5 and struggling. I believe it was at 3-5. It might have been after the Rams game. I told you and another Twitter follower that if the 49ers were able to get back to 6-5, I would do the MC Hammer Time dance for you. I didn't get a chance to do that yesterday at the stadium, but I will be doing that for you. So I've been practicing. My lady was watching me try to dance over the weekend, and she says it's fantastic, which I don't think means that it was actually any good. I think it just means that it was extremely funny to her, and she couldn't stop laughing. That was kind of the giveaway there. So I will definitely, haven't forgot about you guys, and we'll definitely bring that out. So other than that, I will be back tomorrow night with an episode of Niner Chatter to take your phone calls, get your thoughts on everything that's been taking place with the 49ers, and really want to hear from all you 49er faithful out there. So bring it on. I also, if you have anything else that you'd like to hear on Twitter, I did send out a request for a mailbag column that I'm going to put together. So if you have any questions that you'd like to hit over there, go ahead and shoot a tweet to me. Respond to that as well. Looking for content to your questions that I can answer on Twitter as well, and in an article over at the 49er Press Democrat blog. So just want to say thank you all for joining tonight. Quick show. Just wanted to come on. I didn't get a chance to do anything after the game yesterday, but those are a lot of the thoughts from the game. 49ers with a tremendous win yesterday. Just a really good win. The 49ers have come a long way in 3 weeks, kind of like I said at the beginning of this during the opening. 3 weeks ago, pretty much everybody was ready to write off the season, and now here they sit at 6-5, feeling really good about themselves. They've done some really, really fun things. One thing that I will say that I found interesting today was paying attention to 49ers Twitter and the way that they were responding to the comments from Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer about all of the holding calls. I thought that was something that was kind of funny. It reminded me of the way that the 49ers fans used to talk about the Legion of Boom. Remember back in the old days in the 2011 through 13 when the 49ers were going up to Seattle and dealing with Richard Sherman and that whole crew. And the 49er fans, though, were the ones that were always complaining about the holding on their receivers. And now yesterday we had it the other way around. It's always fun to listen to see that kind of banter go back and forth. Steve-O, he asks how the right guard play was yesterday. It was okay. It wasn't that bad. There was a couple of times where you had some issues. Daniel Brunskill definitely was driven back on one that resulted in a sack for sure. Tom Compton, I think, had a pretty good game for the most part. He struggled on a pass protection, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, the way that the right guard, right tackle played yesterday was pretty solid. It's hard to run for 208 yards if your offensive line isn't doing what they need to do. And plus, with Deebo Samuel and some of the ways that they attack the edges, those guys aren't having to necessarily drive people off the ball. It allows them to get out into space a little bit more, which makes their block a little bit easier, right? But they, if you watch some of these runs, especially like the run by Deebo Samuel early in the third quarter, that's just a fantastic job of blocking by everybody on the right side of the line. You have a really nice pull by Tom Compton, and he's right out there with Jeff Wilson Jr. securing the edge, and they basically make their blocks at the same time. And then you see Daniel Brunskill sprinting downfield, and he gets a block. He's about 30, 40 yards down the field, getting into a block down the field. So there's some really good stuff there. And going back to that holding stuff I was talking about earlier with Mike Zimmer, he's not wrong. There's a lot of holding by the 49ers. They always get breaks, but hey, like he said, you keep doing it. And if they don't call it, it doesn't really matter anyway. And when you watch in the NFL, in football in general, the offensive line holds a lot. I mean, you teach your offensive linemen to hold and try to keep their hands inside a little bit, but you're teaching them to hold on as much as possible. That's just the way football goes. I'm sure they're doing the same thing in Minnesota. So, and Luke says, hoping for a grueling overtime game between Seattle and Washington. That would go a long ways for the 49ers, I think, as well. Seattle all the way out on the East Coast tonight, taking on the football team. Now then having to travel back. That game on Sunday between the 49ers and Seattle was originally scheduled to be a Sunday night game. I think that's part of why they have this East Coast game on the road, followed by the way that the season, the schedule was kind of set up there. Was for them to come back and have that game be a night game, even though it's a few hours. It's still a little bit of time on your body clock that makes it a little bit harder, more difficult for you to rebound. So a couple hours there makes it even that much more difficult of a challenge for Seattle, who's going to be getting in really late tonight. And if Washington can take it to them and make this a physical ground and pound style game, definitely could help out the 49ers. And then Chris says, when are we getting this dance from you? I will do the dance tomorrow night. I will practice a little bit more tonight on my own, and I'll have this ready for you, and I will do it tomorrow night during the Niner Chatter show when I come on to take the calls. I'll definitely save some time at the end to show you my skills and how I do it at the club. That's not right. I'm anything other than that, but for sure you'll see that tomorrow night. Hey, Moonman, just here talking 49er football. Big win yesterday for the 49ers. Good to see the 49ers finally get back to over 500 at 6-5, sitting right there at the 6th spot, a game out of the 5th hole, the 5 hole in the NFC playoffs. If the 49ers can get to 5, that would be fantastic. When you start to look at the way the playoffs, let's just say the 49ers get to 5, everything else stays the same. And then you get into the playoffs and the 49ers open up at Dallas. That's about as good of a scenario, I think, as you can get for the 49ers. It's about the shortest travel game that they could have, possibly in the first round. So they get that matchup there. That would really work out nice for them. And then if they're the only team, if they can pull off that upset and they're the only one of the lower seeded teams that does it, I really do think it sets up nice for them to then go into Arizona in the second round of the playoffs. Again, keeping that travel short, if you can pull off, if they can get lucky and pull off a win there, then you're getting into the NFC Championship game, and who knows what happens there. But just got to keep winning these games. I see a road right now for the 49ers. It's going to be a little bit tougher without Deebo Samuel and Fred Warner. But I could see a road where they maybe get to 9-5 before they go to Tennessee. And Tennessee right now isn't playing all that great. So it's going to be a fun next few weeks to see how this goes. But you really got to get over Seattle first before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Moonman says, what do you think about the corner play? What I think about the corner play is that the 49ers need to continue holding onto the ball on offense. Josh Norman is who he is, and he makes some plays, but he gives up a lot of plays as well. Had the 22-yard pass interference yesterday that hurt them. Had a bad play early in the game on the second offensive possession, I believe it was, for Minnesota, where he followed the receiver inside and they burned him with a little flea flicker there for a big gain up the sideline to Adam Thielen. I don't think it was I don't think it should be a shock that a lot of the big passing plays for Minnesota yesterday went to the right side of the 49ers defense, which is the side that he plays on. And you're not seeing a whole lot come from Emmanuel Moseley because the ball's not going his way because they don't have to go that direction. So the cornerback play from the 49ers has been iffy. It's been spotty. The defensive play overall has been up and down throughout the year. They really need somebody to help Nick Bosa out. He has 11 sacks, and he's really their only pass rusher. Minnesota did a good job with everybody else yesterday. It really kind of took them away. So as far as the cornerbacks, going just back to that one, though, it's mediocre at best. And at the same time, you have to say it's pretty impressive that the 49ers have been able to get through Los Angeles and Minnesota with victories, because those were matchups that we didn't think were going to be very good. But when you have an offense that's holding on the ball for 37 minutes, that was a huge part of this game. The the drive at the end of the first half, taking up 8 minutes, scoring a touchdown. Then you get the ball to open up the second half tied, go right down the field and score. And then the first play of the second half, you get an interception, and boom, you're right back in the end zone again. And once you get up 28-14, the 49ers pretty much just take the air out of the football. We've seen them do that the last 3 weeks, and you just don't get enough touches. And that drive at the end of the game, even though they didn't get points, I don't think gets enough credit. The throw from Garoppolo, the catch by on the first 3rd and 4, or the 1 3rd and 4 there by Trent Sherfield, that was just an amazing. It was a really nice catch. A lot of it doesn't really, on the TV copy, it looks a lot better than on the, if you look at the L22, because there was a lot of hands in there where the ball was going, and he did a really good job to hold on to that. And then a little bit later in that possession, the throw down the middle of the field from Garoppolo to Juszczyk to get that ball out of the 49ers zone, and they were on their own 15 to be able to get that ball all the way out to the 41-yard line. Get yourself some separation, allowed them to just really just eat the clock up. It's unfortunate that they missed a field goal to put it away, but the 49ers defense was able to step up, hold on, got lucky with a no call on K'Waun Williams there on 3rd down, and then made the play on 4th down as well. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, Luke says, with all the linebacker injuries, a clock-chewing game, run game has increased importance for Seattle. Absolutely. I had this conversation on my drive home earlier with Coach Johnson, who's on every once in a while with he's on every week with Grant Cohn. I've had him on my channel a couple of different times, but we had a little bit of a back and forth. And I kind of said the same thing with the injuries that they have right now. It's going to be a situation where, they've been at 39, 38, 37 over these last 3 weeks in terms of the time of possession for their offense. And they need to find a way to get over 40 this week, I think. Seattle's going to be tougher, I think, than people want to believe. You have the quarterback up there scares you a little bit, and you really don't want to give him any chances. So if they can just get them out, I think that'll be helpful. And then Fernando says, "Hey Jack, what's your prediction on tonight's game between Washington and the Seahawks?" I would, if I was betting on this, I would say probably that Washington's going to win that game. I just think that Seattle is struggling. Seattle didn't play all that great last week against Green Bay, but they also didn't play as bad maybe as you would think. I mean, 17-0 with a quarterback with that, that's not good. It's not as good as what the 49ers did against those guys. But, I'm going to say Washington wins tonight. Do we want Washington to win? I saw this on question earlier tonight on Twitter. Probably not. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I could see both ways. The positive to it is you knock them out of the playoffs, just pretty much end their season and any hope at all of reaching the playoffs. But the negative of doing that is Seattle. Are they going to lose? What is it, 5 in a row or 6 in a row, whatever the number is going to be when the 49ers play them next week? Are they really going to be in that kind of a situation? So we'll see how that plays out. But I'm going to say I think Washington probably is going to win tonight. As far as do we want them to win, I'll leave that one up to you. I think it was with Luke said earlier, if it's just a hard fought game and takes a lot of energy, I think that's really what the 49ers want to do. Not that these games are ever easy, but you want this to be a tight, tough, hard-fought contest. A lot of pounding and those kind of things that are really going to be able to maybe slow them down a little bit this week as they get ready for this game on Sunday coming up. Yeah, no, Steve's right. Vikings played Green Bay last week. I was talking about the week before. I think I don't know. I don't know who the heck Seattle's been playing. I've been too busy watching the 49ers. I watched them a little bit. But, yeah. Let's see. I think that's about it for tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But like I said, I'm going to be back tomorrow night with Niner Chatter. So Tuesday night means Niner Chatter, a lot of fun 4-hour topics. So get ready. I'd like to hopefully have you guys call in and get a chance to chat with you a little bit. Either that, if you don't want to call in, come in with some good takes over in the comment section. Those super chats are always helpful for me as well, and would go a long ways and to having that be a fun conversation. Just want to say thanks to everybody who took the time to join in. 49ers are now 6-5 in the playoff race at number 6, one game out of the 5 seed. If you can go ahead and hit the click the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Would really appreciate it. Want to say thank you to everybody that joined in, and I'll be back at you tomorrow night with Niner Chatter. Have a great night, everybody.